Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms.
Yay.
Ow. All the doggos are here tonight because I have food. So, see? Now you can see all three of them. Remy, Ollie, and the rock star, Gracie. So there you go, Russ. She made it on the show tonight. All right. So I also want to take that with taking Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company. That's patriotpatch.co. And there is your slow, Jim.
I'm also
and noisy because you didn't take it out of the bag. So here is the June patch of the month. It's a drone with Roman candle launchers and a firecracker line, and then a couple of your Saturn moon missile batteries right here and right up here. So what those are little ones that shoot off basically like 100 bottle rockets without the stick. So they're fun. And everybody should know what a Roman candle launcher is. So yeah, that's your fun for June, carrying into the Independence Day celebration. So, and as a Patch of the Month club member, you get that vinyl that Jim showed you. And you also get, if my camera can focus.
And if Mike can turn it right side up.
It is right side up, you drunk monkey.
No, now
you're upside down.
No, your lens turns inverse the image.
No, you're upside down. That's what I'm claiming. So this is the original, somebody say, cocktail napkin sketch that Ryan comes up with. So anyway, so that's the patch of the month. Thanks to Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co. Always make sure you check it out weekly because they're always launching new stuff. So, and since the spear chucker, for those of you who don't know, you'll figure it out later. But the spear chucker has banned Patriot Patch Company. So.
That would be
the Zuckmeister, and there's a video of him throwing a spear wearing ear pro.
That is funny.
He's throwing a spear wearing ear pro.
Right, I gotcha.
Dumb ass mofo.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I've thrown spears. You don't need ear pro to throw spears.
No, you don't. So yeah, that was rather weird, strange, and
unless he's hunting hogs and trying to spear a hog, I don't see him doing that.
I don't see anybody wearing ear pro trying to spear hogs either. So, Uncle Ted doesn't wear ear pro when he's throwing spears. So
he is a spear chucker. He's probably pretty good at it too.
Yeah, he's got quite a few hogs that way. So, good point, Elk Blood 01. I'm not saying this one. Nobody's going to say this one. You got to check the chat to see what he said. So, because we are currently broadcasting live on the book, and I don't want to get banned from the book again. So, I guess Rummy didn't like the fact that I put him down.
Mike, I forgot to open up my YouTube screen, so bear with me. Mute.
Okay. So, Sharunda, it's been a bit since we've seen you. What you been up to?
Working, learning how to fly fish, working, planning for some more women events and working. I think something like that. Yeah.
You mean you're making gun money, right?
I get not necessarily gun money, but
Rationalize,
outdoor money.
rationalization is acceptable.
Yeah, yeah, just trying to get my funds up.
Yep. Because we're going into that season again where you're going to spend a whole bunch.
Actually, no, I'll be spending less because all of the stuff that I had to get last year, that.
No, there you go. Maybe you'll even start loading shot shells someday.
Would you believe I scored some primers?
What?
I scored some primers.
Oh, you got some 209s finally, huh?
Yes, so I'm gonna go clean up the garage this weekend because it's all kind of bad out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot too, so.
Lakeview Outdoors and Elk Blowout are conversating on the fact that it was 112 in Salt Lake City today.
Holy smoke.
Remy, the food's gone. What do you want? Oh, good grief. So, Jim, what you been up to?
Not a darn thing other than working overtime.
Yep.
Watch some YouTube videos on big guns, big naval guns, but I don't think that counts.
Well, you know.
We do rationalize a bit once in a while.
Yeah. So, Gracie, look out. He's trying to move. Okay, whatever. Me, I spent the weekend when I wasn't. Oh, Ray McKnight's got a new caliber. He's got a 485 SOCOM. That's
I bet you $1 it's a 458.
Paul Loud, no, I do not have any new voicemails. So Sharp should have, but he's a slacker, so he didn't. I spent my free time not working at Cabela's, tearing apart and rebuilding the front right on my truck. So, with what limited time I had.
That'll cost you some money.
Well, I shouldn't say rebuilding. I had to replace the CV axle and the hub assembly.
Yeah.
So, but the hub assembly, there was literally no ball bearings left. There was no races left.
You're lucky you had a wheel still attached to the truck, van,
That's
car.
because of the CV axle.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it was still attached to the truck, is because the CV axle goes through the center of the hub.
Holds it together, yep.
Uh-huh. And the CV axle won't pull through the steering knuckle, so. But, yeah, so that was my fun. New hub assembly, new CV axle.
That cost you a few $100.
Yep. Yes, it did. So. But,
so we have a topic tonight, am I right?
Yes.
So. It's kind of relevant. I already know what the topic is. It's kind of relevant to some of the stuff we've just discussed in the past. Yeah. But it's very germane to what we do.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about pressure. Mainly too much pressure. And how to figure it out. So.
The first one everybody always says is primer cratering. And I'm here to tell you, primer cratering is a symptom,
but it's not
reliable.
No, it's not.
Because what if your firing pin hole aperture opening in the bolt face is about 5 thousandths too big, 5 thousandths on a side too big? Well, now you got a perfect place to create a cratering. Because the primer metal will actually extrude into that hole.
Or, even better, you have soft primers and a firing pin with a really stiff spring.
Yep. So. Good AR spring and Federal primers. That's good combination to create a crater.
Yep. So Elk Blood said ejector swipe, stiff bolt life, case head expansion, a few others. So.
That's right. I have seen ejector swipe. I've also seen photographic evidence recently of a lettering embossment of residue on the bolt face.
Mm-hmm.
And the lettering actually came out in reverse.
Actually, from looking at that one, the one you sent me, Jim.
Yeah, man.
I don't think it's the lettering came out. It's just that it
Residue.
the brass, the head slammed into the bolt hard enough that it basically was like a stamp.
Yeah.
So.
But it was removable.
Yeah. So that's the key thing. It was removable. It was basically just like it left a stamp in brass dust.
Okay. Another sign is ejector swipe. Yeah, from the extractor port or extractor opening, ejector opening, whichever, depending upon the way the firearm is made. That's an excellent one. If you're putting enough pressure on that brass to force it to extrude into any opening, whether it's the ejector port or the extractor port or whichever, if you're pushing brass into those cutouts, you are way too damn high on pressure. Well, I shouldn't say way too damn high, but you are certainly right up there where you don't want to be.
So one of the things I didn't have a lot of is pictures and documentation. So what I did is I went searching the interwebs and I borrowed from Sierra. So I'm going to
go right ahead, please.
Share the screen here. So this is from Sierra's blog, which you can find at sierrabullets.wordpress.com. This one here is kind of old. It's from August 12th of 2015, and it's written by one of their ballistic technicians, Dwayne Sierks. So he says he was handed a small sample of 223 cases the other day and was asked if I could comment on some marks and appearance that had been noticed as they were sorting through the cases. So he's sharing what was observed. It's an unknown source, so he has no idea if they were factory loaded or reloaded, what type of firearm they were fired in. All he has is the brass. Somebody just handed him some brass. And when people find out you know what you're doing for reloading, this can happen to you. Somebody can literally just hand you some brass and say, hey. So, like the first picture here.
Is there any way you can zoom in on that, Mike?
I don't know if it's going to. No, I can't zoom. So.
Well, maybe I can, for myself at least.
So what we've got here is he's got a blade of a knife pointing at what was a bubble and then split. So basically what happened is the brass bubbled up and then split there. Dogs, I don't have any more food. Leave me alone.
All right, I see it.
And then the second picture is primer cratering, like we were talking about. And the third is ejector marks.
Mm-hmm. I would say that first one where you got the knife pointed at a crease, that's poor manufacturing, I would say. Either that or too much lubrication on the wall, that shoulder of the case when it was manufactured, creating a crease, which may have popped out or may not have been noticed by the inspection machinery. Guys, you got to remember this brass, when it comes to the factory, is inspected by machine, not by the human eye like we do all the time. So it's possible the machinery missed it, the optics and so on and so forth simply missed it. The crack wasn't deep enough at the time, but it certainly is now.
So if you look at that, if you can look at that case, you're going to notice that there is no crisp, clean shoulder edge anymore.
Right.
So that's another obvious sign of overpressure. Definitely something with this one Could be a headspace issue also, where it wasn't in full battery.
Mm-hmm.
So it did expand a bit. I guess I've got a co-host for a while. Dude, I'm trying to podcast here.
She's also trying to talk to you over the air using her chest. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So
you got primer cratering.
Yeah.
Like I said, that could be caused by wear. The cratering could have been caused by wear.
The most important thing on this, though, isn't the primer cratering. It's the flattening of the primer.
Yep.
So if you look at the outer edge, that is a legit sign. That is not caused by excessive firing pin or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually is an overpressure. What happens is the pressure actually literally starts to unseat that primer until it slams into the bolt face. And that's also how you get the ejection mark, is it slams the brass into that.
Mike, I dare say that's two photographs of the same case. One zoomed in on the primer flattening, and the second zoomed in on the ejector swipe.
Yep. So actually, all three of these pictures are the same case.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
I can't read the text.
Yep. So next one here is a Lake City Match 93. It says case appears very normal. There was some question about marks seen on the primer. Primer is not overly flattened and is typical for a safe maximum. Well, there's a small amount of cratering here. Like we said, that can be firing pin related. Mm-hmm. Now here on case 3, if you see the Sharpie, and these are going to be in the show notes, so you guys can actually go and look these up and read the articles and stuff. But this one here, this one's a 223 Remington case, and it says it appears normal with one exception. There's 2 rings seen about a ½ inch below the base of the shoulder. So one's very pronounced, the other one is less pronounced. Don't know exact details, so it's possible that chamber had some defects in it, and that's what imprinted that on there. In a case like that case kind of tells you that, hey, there's something not quite right with your chamber. You need to get that gun to a gunsmith. But it's not an overpressure sign necessarily. So on case 4 here, it's another 223 Remington. It says case 4 has no signs of excessive pressure. There's a bulge in the case just ahead of the head that some might be alarmed by. So it says the bulge is more than likely caused by the case being fired in a firearm that had a chamber on the maximum side of SAMI specs. There's no actual real issue with the case. Note that the primer would indicate this load was relatively mild on pressure. So if you look at the primer, definitely have that clear beveled edge on the primer. It hasn't been pushed out and flattened. So this is a case of, I guess for people who don't quite understand, think Glock Bulge.
It's not.
No, but I mean, to kind of give somebody an idea that may not really understand, think Glock Bulge. Yep. Basically, the chamber was either in one small area or the whole chamber is actually a lot larger. Actually, I suppose the better explanation would be machine gun. Your machine gun chambers are a lot larger than your normal hunting and sporting firearms because they need to function in all circumstances. So the 5th one here has a bulge again, just like case 4, but it's not as pronounced because Lake City match brass is a little thicker in the wall. So it may not have been pushed. Case would be safe to reload again. Case 6, some light cases or light circumference like the case 3. It was fired in a different chamber than case 3 as the rings are in a different location, not as heavy. The primer looks good and there are no pressure signs with the case. Case would be safe to reload. So right here is the primer and the head stamp from that. So you can see clear definition of that primer. It hasn't been schmooked and beveled, so it's still
right there. The most important thing you could talk about, Mike. Read what it says there, if you don't mind.
So this is gold standard, and if you're not doing this, especially rifle cases, you probably need to get used to it. It says it's very important to observe and inspect your cases before each reloading. After a while, it becomes second nature to notice the little things. Never get complacent as you become more familiar with the reloading process. If ever in doubt about a situation, Sierra has a 800 number here you can call and ask, and they are very, very helpful. They don't benefit by people being unsafe and getting hurt reloading. They benefit by having people doing it safely and correctly, because then more people are going to buy their products. So they're providing this as a service to the community.
That's right.
So, and then they do have a part 2, and I'm bringing that up. So this one here was almost a year later. So now we're going to see one of the questions we get a lot, and I mean a lot, is what if I've got a ding in the side of the case?
Oh, that's a ding in the side of the case. That's 2 heavy dings.
Mm-hmm.
Sharenda, I'm going to test your knowledge, dear. I'm not to put you on the spot, but what causes those marks on the sidewalls of those cases? You muted, Sharenda. You're muted.
Was she still muted?
She keeps double tapping it. All right. Sharenda's having some technical difficulty. And
what do you think, Jim?
I know what it is. It's a machine gun brass, and it's ejection, or it's result of the sidewall of the case slamming into the ejector port of the machine gun.
So here's the thing. That is one piece of brass with dings on both sides.
Then I would say it was a jam.
Yep. So if it was just the one ding, then I'd go with Jim. Especially like FALs love to ding brass when it launches them out.
They abuse brass, man.
Yeah, FALs, you're not going to get a lot of reloading with your 308 brass, because especially if you're unfortunate enough to have a chamber in the same or very close to the same area each time, when it throws it back, it really slams it into the opening, and it really puts a good dent into it. You can actually Google FAL brass and see the pictures. But yeah, this one here, judging by the looks, and Dwayne from Sierra says the same thing, is it was probably a jam. And he says don't reload this case. I would agree. Not because he says to prevent any feeding problems, but I would also add on there, if you look at the top picture, that dent's pretty deep and it's pretty shiny. So it took some brass with it. And there's a chance, now this is Lake City, so it's going to be a little thicker, but there's a chance that you could have a thin spot, and it's not going to be enough to blow it out, I don't think. You're not going to have a blowout from that, but it's enough that why take the chance? So, but then you can see the case head here, and the primer's intact. You've got your clear edge of the primer. Your firing pin doesn't look cratered. There's no marks, ejector marks or anything on the head. So it wasn't an overpressure load. But like I said, as Dwayne was saying, you're probably going to run into feeding problems again, because you're not going to get that dent out completely with the way it sizes. Even if you tried to fire form it, you might, but you're going to lend yourself to possible loading, jamming issues. Plus, like I said, it took a chunk of that brass with it, and it's a little thinner than it should be, and it's not uniform. So it's not like it's gonna blow up, but better to be safe than sorry. especially considering it's not so. Sorry, I had to flip back and let Jim back in because I guess he disappeared.
Yeah, I did.
Way
Sorry
to go,
about
Jim.
that. Yeah.
Way to go.
Hit F5 instead of F11.
That'll do it.
You did.
Okay, so next one is a Remington 308 Winchester case with apparent problems for excessive pressure. So you've got it here on the neck, you got here on the shoulder.
That's not pressure. The neck, I don't know, but the primer looks fine.
That's the kicker. He says with apparent problems from excessive pressure.
That's a jam. That's exactly what that is. It's a jam. So that's not even a lube dent on that shoulder.
But here we go. So now we're looking at the head of that case, and that primer is flattened.
Not much.
It's pretty flat.
Yeah.
All things considered. If that's the only thing, then it probably wasn't an issue. However, if you notice right here by the R, that's an ejector mark.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of excess pressure to get your ejector marks on your head stamps. So if you've got ejector marks in your head stamps, and I don't know, I can't quantify exactly, if your load's a 55,000 PSI, if you're at blah, 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 then, I can't quantify that. I haven't done studies and I don't have the ability to. So, but it's severely overpressured if you're getting ejector marks on your head stamps.
I have no idea what the pressure is, what pressure causes the brass to begin to flow. But, we generally speaking, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves, generally speaking, Sammy loads never exceed 60,000 PSI. As a rule of thumb.
As a rule of thumb, I believe so. I think there's a couple. There's some 308 loads that get higher than that.
308, yes, but not in the 7.62 by 51.
No, but 308, yes.
Yes, I agree.
So,
308 is known to be higher.
Typically, I would say across the board, that's probably a safe assumption, Jim.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few loads that do go above that.
The Wildcats, even the 280 stuff does.
Most of your Weatherby stuff probably does.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say all your Ackley improved stuff.
But the thing is, one of the things I want to say is, but still, even at 65, 70,000 PSI, I don't. You know what? I should Google it. In fact, I will.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to hear me Google it, guys. At what pressure does brass begin to flow?
So one of the things that with those shoulder and neck marks, those could have been from ejection. Obviously, if it's higher pressure, it's going to be, and it's a semi-auto, it's going to be thrown out a lot faster than it would normally.
Yep. That would be, again, ejection port marks.
Yep. So that's what those two could have been. Or it hit rocks on the ground when it landed.
Or it could be foot marks. I mean, somebody stepping on it. Google's stuck.
Way to go, Jimmy. Broke Google.
That's hard to do.
Oh, Gracie, stop attacking me. I'm trying to do a podcast here. The only reason I brought you over here is so you'd quit whining. Good grief. All right. So.
Still trying. Oh, there we go. Oh, softer brass, like some batches of Hornady, will show brass flow at under 63,000 PSI. Medium brass, like Remington Norma, around 64,000 to 65,000. And hard brass, like RWS or La Poix, will not show it until 70,000 psi. I see a flattened primer.
Yep. You also see
Head separation, incipient head separation.
correct. So none of those overpressures that you just talked about are to the point where you're at that magical 80,000 psi where you start to see damage to firearms. Or at least that's what, the rumor is.
Mm-hmm.
But so, I mean, you could still theoretically be overpressured, but underpressured, if that makes sense. Basically what it is, it's the brass is no longer handling the pressure, not necessarily the firearm. So, but yeah, this one obviously has a very obvious incipient case head separation.
Say that fast 40 times.
I couldn't say it fast once, so no. It says most commonly caused by oversizing the case, and then it causes excessive head spacing. So definitely need to look at their die adjustments because it's not right. The primer is excessively flattened as well. If you've got a headspace issue, that can cause flattened primers. Because if it's not in the chamber and snug as a bug in a rug in there, it can actually, if you've got excessive headspace, it can actually slap around in there under pressure, and then you can get your flattened primer.
Mike, you were talking about Glock Bulge a little while ago by comparison of the 223 Remington cases or the 5.56 brass.
Well, guess what we're going to see right now?
A Glock Bulge. He just zipped right past it.
Yep. Keep
going, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there it is.
I keep having help. So here's the bulge, and what that is it's
that's a true Glock. That's a
Glock Bulge.
True Glock Bulge.
Yeah, theoretically. Hi, Gracie. Theoretically, it's only Gen 2 and Gen 1. Theoretically, Glock Gen 3 barrels, and this is theoretical because nobody actually comments on it, and Glock sure in the heck does not comment on it. But nobody really comments on the fact that by the time we got the Generation 3 Glocks, they'd fixed the issue that caused it. So basically what it is it's they say it's an unsupported chamber or without a fully supported chamber. And so it gives extra expansion room for the brass.
Well, what that actually is, it comes from is a bit more, they cut a bit more material out of the bottom of the chamber to facilitate feeding. And you muted yourself. But anyway, they do that to facilitate feeding so that the cartridge slides into the chamber easier.
Mm-hmm. We're back to like our machine gun chambers where they're cut bigger.
Right.
So.
Well, that would be for to enhance reliability. Yep. It doesn't affect the firing. It's unsightly. It affects the life of the brass when it comes to reloading. But when it doesn't affect safety or factory ammo, and remember, our police departments, our military and police, they only use new ammo. They do not use reloads.
Right. So and Dwayne does recommend in here. He says, be very cautious. He says there's dyes to help remove the bulging, but even though you may have removed this bulge, you still have a weakened case. So, and it also sets up the possibility of it being fired in another unsupported chamber, and that creates an even greater risk of failing. So, so basically, it's one of those that if you get Glock Bulge brass and your firearm creates the bulge, it's not a good idea to reload that and shoot it in your firearm.
I have a Gen 3 G22, so I'm not worried about it.
Right. So, next up, split neck. So,
that's not. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
22-250 case with a split neck. So, so he says we've got a RP case that has died the death. So, normal occurrence you must watch for. It's by work hardening of the brass. So obviously the person didn't do any annealing or has got so many reloads on that annealing is not really going to do any good. Yes, you can get to the point with your brass where even the annealing isn't going to bring it back to its normal goodness, and you will get split necks. So brass is it's not a Gracie. I'm trying to podcast here. Look, I'm trying to podcast here, Gracie. Stop it.
Glad you're editing this.
Yes, I am.
But anyway, that split, of course, is that case is not usable because what will happen if you do try to use it, number one, you're not going to have as much accuracy because the case neck tension has been affected by that split.
Non-existent.
Number two, you're also run the risk of damaging your chamber throat because of the fact you're putting a focused flash right on the sidewall of the bore rather than down the center line of the barrel.
Could you say gas cutting?
Yeah, a gas flame.
Yep. The other issue is there's a good chance that bullet, when you go to feed it into the chamber, because that neck is damaged, it pulls the bullet right out. So I mean, you've got that possibility too. Is it now it's weakened, so as the bullet comes up into the chamber, instead of being stable and using it to line the cartridge up to feed it in, now your bullet grabs and turns, and away you go. So once again, he says down here at the bottom, he says tries to use examples like this to see what they're looking for. If you have questions, give them a call at the phone number or send them an email at sierra@sierrabullets.com.
May I suggest you actually read that number and include that in the show notes?
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be in both. This article is going to be in the show notes. So, but the Sierra Bullets phone number is 1-800-223-8799. So
they'll talk to you about anything because remember, a lot of us use Sierra Bullets, and me, myself included, and who knows what kind of combination we come up with. Sierra is willing to help anyone.
Right. So this next one's from 300blackout.wordpress.com. And I just wanted to show this because this shows different progression of flattened primers.
That's a great photo.
That's a huge thing to see because you normally get to see that.
And what you got here is the first one Federal Remington Peters. I'm sorry. 221 Remington Fireball.
Yeah, so all 221 Fireballs, which doesn't surprise me. It's kind of not hard to get those.
And I see a hint of a ejector swipe, but on the T, on the P, between the P and the L, on the far right cartridge mic.
I don't know.
Right where your mouse was.
Yeah, I'm just
on the far right.
I know. I'm trying to compare the four, and no, it does not look like it.
Okay.
Because it's unless it's in all four. No,
it's not. Well, now that you zoomed in on the photo itself, that it shows there's no mark there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got your reasonably normal primer. It's a little bit of flat, a little bit of bulged. And then, so you got a little bit more progression, a little less space between that primer edge and the primer pocket. Now we've got even less space, a lot more flat surface. And then we get to the last one, and there's literally no space. It's pushed that primer all the way out to the edge of the pocket, taking that little curve out of the primer edge. So,
going left to right, I would accept primer pocket 2. I would not accept 3 and 4.
3 and 4, I probably wouldn't load again. I'd toss them.
That's what I like to call overload, or some people call hot load.
Yep. So next up is some ejector imprints. So here you've got a clear ejector imprint down at 6 o'clock. The middle case, it's at 9 o'clock. And then on the right case, it almost looks like it's at 5 and 11.
Yep, it is.
So
it's actually it's abraded because of the bolt face of the gun.
Yeah, 300 rem ultra mag. So I mean, there's.
Well, come on now, we're talking 300 rum.
Yeah. So, but that gives that there.
Yeah, and there's gas blow by right there.
So next up, yeah, gas blow by. So I mean, this is extreme. So this is extreme cases. It literally was so overpressured it blew the primer out.
Pierced the primer. That's the worst primer piercing I've ever seen.
Well, no, this is on the side. The actual side of the primer, not from the firing pin.
Ow! My wife just beat me.
She should.
But anyway, yeah, it's at the corner of the primer case in the head. That's the worst blowout I've ever seen.
Yeah. Now, the one to the bottom right looks like the firing pin might have pierced the primer because you see a little split there.
Mm-hmm. The danger of those gas leaks like that, piercings like that, they will actually cause a bit of a spalling in the bolt face of the gun.
Yep.
They'll damage your gun. So you don't want to do that, guys.
Nope.
You don't want to duplex loads and stuff like that. No. That's an absolute no.
Yep. So here's a really good picture of some brass that needs to go away because it's about to rip apart from incipient head case separation. So you can see that distinct line. A lot of times you're not going to see that line unless you're looking for it. Or you'll think, some people think that this is a die stop.
Yeah.
That you didn't get your die all the way down. And that's why that's like that. But what you can do is you can take a paper clip. Yes, the all fabulous, wonderful paper clip. And you can straighten it out and then just put a little hook at the bottom and run it on the inside of your case and drag it down, and you'll feel that mark on the inside.
Yep.
And that shows up long before the mark on the outside does, because it blows it from the inside out.
Yep.
And then here we've got some case blowout, some split necks,
and head separation.
Yep.
At least 2 cases, 3 cases.
Yeah.
Third case from the left, from my left. That's the one, Mike. It's got a head separation. And in case 5 and case 7.
Yeah. And then this is a case blowout.
I've had a lot of those because I'm too cheap to reload. Get rid of some of that old 38 brass I have had.
Yeah, and that's what that is that just got too thin and wouldn't handle the pressure. I don't see what's up with these two here. Looks like just flattened primers. So you can have flattened primers in pistols too.
Looks like all those cases are split neck.
Yep. So, and then there's a little video they include on here, which I'm not going to show now, but it says excessive pressure indicators, kind of goes through and shows that. So in the chat, they're talking about something that's been floating around the internet, and we've seen a couple of it. And I'm going to go and I'm going to flat out say that I'm calling baloney. There's somebody posted out there that they have some brand new Remington core locks and the brass split upon the first shot. If you look at that brass, that is not a once fired brass, in my opinion. I don't have a picture of it at the current second. I can probably find one though.
Well, like I told the story, I think last time I was on the air with you guys, about annealing case. I over anneal the case. Don't anneal the other case. Whatever you do, guys.
Yeah.
Go get your gas. The Elk Blood 01, my new friend, my newest Facebook friends. he brought up a point. It says that it can cause gas to blow back right into your face. He's right. That's exactly what happened to me. All kinds of nice gas fumes went right into my. Fortunately, I wear glasses all the time, even shooting. And fortunately, I didn't get the gas directly in my eye, like I would if I were shooting without glasses. But I got plenty of fumes around my face and so on and so forth. And, well, found out you don't anneal case heads the hard way. But he's talking about Pierce primers.
I don't see it regularly, but if you've spent time on Facebook, yeah, I'm sure you've seen them. So, but the brass, that I've seen from the pictures that have been posted is not new brass.
Well, Mike, the other side of the story is stuff like that. Remington has earned themselves a bad name.
Yes, they have. But we have to remember now.
Yes, I understand that. That's where I was going. The thing is, people have a tendency to knock them. I keep just kick them when they're down, sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
that's what I feel. That's what this myth you're talking about feels like. Sounds like. Kick him while he's down. Who cares? Nobody's going to know the difference.
Right.
Unless you get somebody that has been reloading for a while and can look at that brass and say that brass has been reloaded or not. 4 or 5 times. You could. I'm sorry. You reload a 30-06 case 5-6 times. Even if you polish it, you're going to have wear and tear on that case.
Yeah, and when you look at that picture, it's not brand new shiny brass. It's worn. It almost looks like it was bead blasted. It shows signs of firing multiple times, possibly, but it definitely has been fired. It definitely was not a once fired piece of brass. So, I mean, most of us have been reloading for a while. You know what a once fired piece of brass looks like, even if it's high pressure, and it doesn't. So unless there was something on that brass to dissolve it, then, I mean, that's a possibility, but I doubt it. So,
good article, by the way, and a big thank you to Sierra Bullets for putting that up, even if it is 6 years old.
Yeah,
it's still good info.
Both Sierra and 300 Blackout WordPress. So, and I'll make sure that both those articles are listed. When you scroll through the first one for Sierra, it actually has the link for part 2 at the bottom. So I'm just going to post the one link, not both links. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's entirely possible that somehow, some way, in refiring up Remington, that, maybe they had some used brass laying around. But knowing that Federal doesn't have an issue, Federal is owned by Vista, I'm gonna lean more towards the fact that Vista isn't a stupid company, and they're not gonna fire up a brand new. They're not gonna big green back and do the same old stupid crap. So,
well, for one thing, they know that we're out there. They know we talk to each other. They know we inform each other and educate each other and ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been out there for a long time. Ever since the internet became a big thing back in the late 80s,
mm-hmm.
people were talking to each other, and these big companies know this, and they've got to produce quality. Otherwise, hey, Mike, I shot some Remington ammo the other day. That stuff just about blew my gun up.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case. That's just a horrible example I'm putting out there, folks. That's not the case. Mike, be sure and leave that disclaimer in there.
Mm-hmm.
People talk that trash.
Yeah. The other issue is there's no proof that any of this is new stock Remington. So Remington literally shut down in June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't start production again until April. But we were still getting Remington ammunition all through last fall and into the winter. We got a bunch of Remington firearms in December and January because either if it was somebody that went out of business or whatever, but they were brand new in the box, Remington firearms. So there's nothing that says that was brand new.
Brand new out of the box may not be brand new as in 2021.
Yeah. Or even 2020 or 2019.
Right.
I mean, go to some of your hardware stores up north, like northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, northern Minnesota, that keep hunting rounds on the shelf. Some of those could have been on those shelves for 10, 15. I mean, core locks, the box design hasn't changed in probably 40 years. So, I mean, you could theoretically have 30 or 40-year-old ammo sitting around. So,
and now there's a problem in and of itself is age deterioration.
Yeah. And that's entirely possible. And if it was age deterioration, then that brass would look like it does. And it would split like that from a first shot. So,
well, when brass sits that long, ammo sits that long, that bullet practically is welded into the walls of the case.
Right.
On a molecular level. So it takes a lot of pressure to push that up. And whatever happens, something's got to give. If that bullet won't move, the case is going to give. And if the case don't give, well, okay, the case is going to give. But if the case doesn't hold on long enough, the expansion is transferred into the firearm, which it is every time. But the firearm has enough strength to withstand it for a few milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
But if something doesn't happen to cause that bullet to dislodge, something's going to give, and it could be right beside your head.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the condition that the ammo was stored in too.
Yep.
If it's stored outside in the woodshed, then up in the attic, by the case,
hunting lodge, hunting shack, hunting blind. You get some of those. I mean, there's some really nice blinds that are running around the woods, on private land, but maybe they're not necessarily weatherproofed. And they're not really
weatherproof. I know you don't mean water or anything like that. What you mean is temperature variation.
Right. So, I mean, it's going to be like your garages, only worse. So,
yep.
But I'm just kind of scrolling back and seeing comments that I couldn't see when I was sharing screen. So,
yeah. Right. Last comment we had was 2052.
Yep. So that was that. I mean, and I may be proved wrong. Maybe it was, a freak thing and stuff like that, but I'm doubting the fact that was brand new. So anyway, Jim, you get to talk for a second. I'll be right back.
Thanks, buddy. Evidently Mike has a place to go. Anyway, it's like, come on, guys, in the YouTube chat, help me out. Say something. Charlie Foxtrot, it's nice to see you on the air. I know you're not on the air, but nice to see you in the chat. Let's see, I'll scroll back a little bit. Mike caught me kind of flat-footed. No conceit and Pinkshire Sharenda. Charlie Foxtrot, I am easier on the eyes than these old dudes. Can't argue with that. Well, thanks for the love, Alex, whoever you are. Idaho Rogers, USMC, put the comment out there. He's got some pretty seasoned ammo on hand. Well, and believe it or not, it shoots just fine. Well, again, Idaho, that depends upon how you're storing your ammo. Ammo likes to live where you do. Like 72 degrees thereabouts, give or take 5 or 6 degrees, stable temps. It doesn't like the 105 degrees summer days and 14 degrees below zero winter nights. And my wife's phone is ringing. Hold on. Oh, boy. Well, you are right, Sharenda. You are a lot easier on the eyes than the old men, the ugly old men. Welcome back, Mike, even though you haven't hooked up yet. I didn't carry the show too well, Mike. You're muted. That's something I wanted to talk about a little bit, Mike, since we're talking pressure. Jorgen Rangan's comment about 08:39 p.m., he said, I wish I had a pressure transducer and the means to run some tests. Somebody has come up with a piezoelectric method of gluing a stretcher of sorts, a little metallic tab, glued on 2 different points on the outer wall of your chamber. Mm-hmm. And as your chamber swells, it can actually measure the expansion.
Leon Guthrie, who I had on talking, who runs Buck and Slug Reloaders page on Facebook and MeWe and stuff. Mm-hmm. He uses those. He's the one that I had on talking about the Russian slugs and stuff mm-hmm. when we were talking about shot shells. So I will have to find they're available. So I'll just see if I can find it out and include that in the show notes. But, so it is entirely possible to do it. Not for him though, because he's Canadian. So they can't do that type of thing up there.
Well, Jorgen Rangan and these people from the north, they're not right. 14 below is t-shirt weather. They're not right.
That was Elk Blood 01 that said t-shirt weather in Idaho and Montana, 14 below. Not quite so much in Wisconsin. I mean, we're probably wearing, like a sweatshirt at that point in time, but
you're full of shit too.
Dude, there's college kids still wearing shorts at
I know, I've seen it.
5 above. So, by the way, JB Lucy, hello from the 75 square miles of insanity surrounded by reality, also known as medicine. So, by the way, I got to meet a listener this week. They were in Cabela's. And so he was looking at guns and stuff and talking, and he says, you sound familiar. So.
Really?
Yep. So that was cool. You sound familiar.
That particular line sounded familiar too. I opened up a Facebook channel trying to bring up some of these comments that I'm missing. Sorry.
Sure. Likely story.
Ooh, Elk Blood. Out there drawing blood on poor old Jason Trumbo.
Jason's not even here to defend himself.
That's when you kick him, man. It's when he's down. Yeah. His comment, it's easier to spot the liberals like Jason. Elk Blood, you just earned yourself on Jason's spit list.
He said to me, he says, well, you guys have humidity, so you have a reasonable excuse. Yeah, true. So...
Anyway, Jorgen, I hope that little tidbit helps about gluing at those. It's just a piece of metal, I guess, that can be measured in the difference in the electrical resistance. You glue it on two spots on your chamber, and well, the way I understand it, you can actually leave it on your chamber. You don't have to take it off every time. Idaho Richard Rogers is well amused by something. Probably Elk Blood's comment about Jason.
Yes, he is.
Poor Jason. Well, after living in California for so long, it's a wonder Jason still has got his sanity.
Yep.
You guys might know, some of you guys probably don't know Mike Young, but Mike Young used to run a group on Facebook called The Brass Bank. what, about 20,000 members. And, well, it went away overnight. But anyway, so Mike Young actually left California for Idaho. And it looks like Jason's going to do the same thing.
So, Leon uses the Pressure Trace 2 ballistic pressure testing unit. So I will put that in the show notes.
That would be a good thing, sir. I do believe Shrender's still out there. She's on YouTube.
Yeah, she's chatting. She just had a mic failure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not bad. So, and, where we at? There we go. ShootingSoftware.com.
ShootingSoftware.com.
Yep. So, wireless pressure trace 2 system. Captures pressure data in real time right at the shooting bench. Displays actual pressure curve on a PC after each shot with peak pressure in PSI. Rise time to peak, bullet exit, load efficiency, and more. It's got a wireless Bluetooth module, cable, software, one strain gauge assembly with special non-blooming cyanoacrylic glue, system test gauge, and everything required for one firearm. So it says barrel harmonics calculations are also provided if velocities are entered, but a chronograph is not required for operation. So
you can actually shoot your rifle, get pressure measurements,
and barrel harmonics.
If you shoot over a chronograph.
Yep.
That's pretty damn handy. And you talk about scientific.
Right.
How much is that shooting software kit? Do you know?
$750.
Okay.
But if you're doing your own load development and you're doing wildcatting.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm not saying that. It's just like you better save a day or two.
Yeah. But Leon swears by it, and he says it's absolutely worth the money.
I don't doubt that.
So he's had many a conversation talking about how it, and the data it gives you is amazing. So,
well, that's one of the things about us is we've become so accustomed to shooting our firearms without knowing what's going on, trusting to factory ammo and trusting the reloading books and the manuals and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. We really don't know a whole lot about what's going on in the firearm at the moment of fire.
Right. And so that's the nice thing about that is that adds a whole new dimension to your loading.
Yeah. I thought adding a chronograph would add a whole new dimension, and it did.
Right.
But now you add two new dimensions. Instead of 3 dimensions, you got 5.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So then 6 sealed strain gauge assemblies with glue is $196.
So that would be enough to take and mount onto different firearms.
That's 6 firearms, yeah.
Yeah. I probably got that many centerfire rifles. I don't even know.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of nice stuff, and they've got 3 without glue for $109. I think I'd rather save the extra money and get the 6. So.
Yep.
And they have replacement cables, and they have jumper wires, and all sorts of stuff that's available.
Mike, what is a non-blooming cyanoacrylic glue?
I don't know.
Well, have you ever seen glue spread run on a surface?
Yes.
There you go.
So
I would call that a bloom.
There you go. As far as cyanoacrylic, that would be the composition. So
CA.
Yeah, non-blooming, would just mean it's not going to spread. It stays where you put it. Kind of like gel super glue.
Exactly. Mainly subsonic, 9:11 p.m. Lost service for a few. What's this program? Look at the name. Well, Reloading Podcast number 353, titled
Under pressure. Talking about pressure signs. So
Pressure Signs on when you're firing your firearm.
Yep.
One surefire. Do you want to talk about Kentucky ballistics?
No.
Okay.
There's more information and data, this stuff that started to come out. So, but that there's still no absolute definite what happened. So,
you're right. And due to litigation reasons, it's probably best to stay away from that topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's lots of different stuff out there. Lots of different options for tracking and looking and finding information. And I mean, there's all sorts of test gadgets and stuff out there.
He was on video, and that video has been analyzed.
He said, mainly Subsonic said, LOL, the pressure program. Oh, Pressure Trace 2 is it's from shootingsoftware.com. It's Pressure Trace 2. It's what Leon Guthrie from Buck and Slug Reloaders uses when he's working up stuff. So, sorry. Now we know.
We thought you were poking fun to us.
So, anyway.
Sorry about that, mainly Subsonic. By the way, I'm going to throw a shout out there. Mike, Alex from North Dakota sends greetings.
Yep.
9:12
and he also
p.m.
said, love you guys up above.
Yep.
So, we love
Hi,
you too.
Alex.
Oh, here's a hug. Anyway.
Hey, hello, Miss Kitty. You walked in just in time to catch Mikey's hug.
Right? See, there you go. Yeah, I wish Sharenda was on this side of the wall, but unfortunately, she's got some technical issues, and that's why Paul wasn't here either, is because he had technical issues. Jason's technical issues are he's camping. Jim's technical issues are he keeps having an echo. So, which someday we will figure out what's causing it. But
I have no idea. It wouldn't be the fact that I covered my microphone, would it? What?
No, that just made a bunch of... It made it sound like you're talking.
Did you have to edit out?
So.
Mike, you're a smart ass. You always have been, you always will be. Don't change.
That's right, baby. So. So Sharenda said my work PC sucks and my personal PC is just trash. So use your smartphone, schmuck. We were just talking about that.
You know what, Sharenda? You could call in video or audio only.
You can call in from your smartphone. Anyway.
You still have the link in Messenger.
So, yeah. Ooh. Primary Arms has got some SB Tacticals that they're bringing attention to. I don't know if they're on sale or not, but get your SB Tactical braces now. So Elk Blood 01 wants to know if we need some suggestions for Cartridge Corner. Yes, and actually, Jorgen actually volunteered to help do research on it too. So, but yeah, Elk Blood, send me an email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com for those Cartridge Corner suggestions. We do want to bring it back, but I haven't even had time to. I finally got 348 posted. I was supposed to be up to 351. So I'm a few episodes behind. When we're done here tonight, I'm going to work on editing 350 or 349, whatever it is. No, sorry, I just posted 349 and I got to edit 350. So, but yeah, definitely want to get back to the Cartridge Corner. And yes, Alex, Jim has a Ruger SR40C. He has the compact version. So. Oh.
And I like it too.
I like this. Idaho Rogers USMC says he has a Tetris game that makes phone calls.
That's what you call a smart game.
Oh.
Miss Kitty, we've actually done both those cartridges. I have. Oh, I'm sorry. Alex's comment is he has a compact version. He loves it, the SR40C. He's asking, have I tried the Pro Mag extended mag for it? Yes, I have the 15-round magazine and the grip and the magazine grip adapter. And that's the way I carry the firearm.
But is yours the Ruger or the Pro Mag?
No, mine's Ruger.
He wants to know about the Pro Mag.
Okay, I guess I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, Pro Mag is a company, aftermarket mag producing company. So, but oh, Sharonda, you're just not having a good technology week. So pressure signs. There's lots of different little clues. You got to be paying attention to them, though. If you're not looking at them, you're not paying attention to them, then you're going to miss them.
It was said, inspect your brass every time before you reload it.
Mm-hmm. And if you're doing load workup, say you're doing a ladder load, or you're doing just, you're starting at 10% below and working your way towards, you need to be checking that brass, whether it's handgun or rifle. Every fired cartridge, you need to be checking that brass for signs.
Yep.
If you're not sure,
ask,
compare, grab a unloaded cartridge and hold it up, head to head with the one you just fired, and look and see if it looks the same or not.
Mike, you just said those Sierra Bullets articles and the 300 Blackout article you just used. Those are good comparisons, especially the photograph of the 4 cartridges.
Yeah, that from 300 Blackout, those 4 cartridges are perfect. Idaho Rogers USMC, my store is about 50 minutes north of Beloit. It's technically Sun Prairie, but it's like in between Sun Prairie and Madison. So, why are you going to go get some Hormel chili from Beloit? Good stuff, Maynard.
They don't put enough pepper on it to suit me anymore.
Well, you just use it on your chili dogs. That's all it's for. So, but I mean, just got to watch for the signs. They're there as long as you're paying attention.
Yep. I have a shout out and a thank you I'd like to throw out there.
Okay.
To you, Mike. Remember when in the Reloading podcast Facebook Messenger chat, I generally advocate sticking with the basics, and that's what my show suggestion tonight was watch for the pressure signs. That's a basic technique for us reloaders have to maintain, have to use all the time.
Right.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for letting me have this topic tonight.
You bet. Yeah, it's an important topic, and we don't really, go through it much.
No.
So
it's basics.
It is, because you can find out the hard way that you've got pressure issues. If you go to reload, say you're running a progressive, and you roll through, and all of a sudden you've got a completed cartridge, and it rolls down the chute into the bin, and your primer falls out. Oops.
Mm-hmm. The right thing to do is stop, look and see, find that case, pull it apart. Number 1. And number 2, check the primer pocket in the head of the case. If that pocket's that loose, what did you do?
Mm-hmm. So, Raymond McKnight wants to know what else can cause pressure signs on brass. Factory ammo brass had ejector extractor marks for a 308 AR.
Well, there's not much we could say without having pictures.
Yeah, I mean, without seeing it and all that. So, here's a shout out to Idaho Rogers USMC, million safe miles as a trucker. That's impressive. So, Idaho, you're going to have to PM me with your company's name and when they're coming so I can make sure we show them the good stuff. So, but yeah, that's a million-mile achievement. It's pretty impressive, especially
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Especially with all the freaking idiots out on the road nowadays driving four-wheelers.
Legally speaking, a driver can only put on, 2,500 miles a week?
I have no idea what the restrictions are anymore.
500 a day.
So
thereabouts. I know most of them generally put on a lot more than that, but the point is, legally speaking, takes a while. That takes a freaking while.
Yeah. Well, with e-logs being mandatory now, it's kind of harder to break those restrictions. So
without getting caught, at least.
Yeah, Elk Blood says there is no mileage restriction. It's an hours restriction, but I know they've got an hours restriction. You can only drive for a certain amount of hours. But yeah, I didn't know if there was a mileage. So, but with the e-logs, it's really hard to get around that hours restrictions. So, and that's now a mandatory thing. So,
anyway, this is not the truck driving podcast, is it? Did I tune into the wrong channel?
No. We haven't had the Road Gunner podcast in a long time.
There was such a thing.
Yes, there was.
Made by a reloading podcast listener.
But no, actually, he's one of the reasons I got into podcasting.
Yep.
So,
Chaz.
Yep. Hello, Sharp, you slacker. About time you joined.
We're signing off and you sign in.
That's right.
Where you been, Sharp? Where you been, bitch? I'm sorry.
Dang.
I ain't sorry worth a damn when it comes to Sharp.
So, Alex said he was talking about the 25-round Pro Mag for that SR40, and he said it gave him problems until he replaced the Pro Mag follower with an actual Ruger one, and now it's fine. So, which not the first time I've heard that Pro Mag followers don't necessarily play nice.
That makes sense.
Thanks, Paul, for ratting us out. He'd figured out when he listened to the show. Dang it. So. It's definitely, pressure signs is definitely something that's severely overlooked. Especially by new reloaders, because nobody really mentions.
That's why we have to educate ourselves.
Right. Well, Chris, you tell her happy birthday.
I wouldn't bite you if... Never mind. I'm not going there because I wish I hadn't.
Well, there's just a simple answer. I wouldn't bite you because I don't know if you've had your shots.
Here's my answer to Sharp. I can't raise his any damn higher.
So nice to have everybody join us. Nice to have all the regulars. So appreciate everybody who joins us, gives us thumbs up or likes, whatever the case may be, where you're watching. Appreciate everybody that sends us emails, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Appreciate everybody who sends us texts, 608-467-0308. Maybe someday somebody will actually call us at that number and leave a voicemail again. That's 608-467-0308. And I believe it does work in Canada like that too. Oregon. Anyway. What's going on at Primary Arms this week? I mentioned the SB Tacticals. By the way, quick note on that. If you have not gone to the ATF page and made a comment about the stupidity that they want to do by taking AR pistols and AK pistols and making them short-barreled rifles, please do. If we get enough comments, then they kind of they don't have to listen, but it helps the cause, especially if we have to haul them into court after the fact. So, Ooh, they got a Hollow Sun solar powered red dot with tritium for $299.99 on sale right now. Ooh, wow. They've got a hunter backpack. They've still got double lot buck on sale. Got a bunch of other fun stuff too. Ooh, nice little shooting mat for $30. So
That's
yeah.
about what I paid for mine several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you lay on the ground to shoot my rifle?
Because prone's more accurate.
Yeah, than standing or offhand, or sitting or kneeling even. It also gets me closer to the earth where it's more stable. Everything's more stable down there. Even a concrete bench is as stable as prone.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, they got plate carriers too. Plate carriers on sale. But yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. Gives you more stability, less sway, especially if you're shooting off of bipod or a tripod. I should say a bipod and a monopod, or off a rest. Prone is removing as much of the sway that you would introduce into it as possible.
Yep.
So. Is that a promise, Chris? I'm counting on that.
Chris Sharp. Yeah, well, Chris Sharp made the comment.
Oh, you wait, Mike. I'm going to call, all right. Good. I'm waiting for it. Bring it, sucker. Because I'm going to air that puppy.
And then
Brenda says, you see
ahead.
the groundhogs better too, Jim?
Yep.
And actually, if you're doing it right, you can kind of lay down and hide, and your neighbors won't see him shoot. Anyway. So.
Well, now, Surrender, you know why you need a suppressor for that 22.
Right.
I know you won one, and I'm still looking for mine.
Cabela's and Bass Pro for Father's Day, I think it goes till next Wednesday, maybe not. Has that Winchester Wildcat with a threaded barrel for $249.99. So
I think I'm going to wind up going up to the Cabela's this weekend.
Yep. So
hey, it's Father's Day, and I'm a father, and I'm over 21.
There you go.
I know how to fill out a 4473.
Yep.
I've already filled out my Form 1, or whatever it was, the ATF form.
Yeah.
And I actually have suppressor spacers.
Yeah. Yeah, the nice thing about that Winchester Wildcat, basically, it is a kind of redesigned 1022. It's not a takedown model, but the nice thing about it is it's got the port in the back of the receiver for cleaning, so you can drop the bolt out and then run it through. The magazine, instead of having to actually try and pull it out like you do on the Rugers, it's actually got a spring eject on it. So
they must depend upon the magazine follower to help push that.
The bolt lock actually works nice.
Yep.
So, yeah, a nice little 22. So,
well, this way you could actually target practice in your own backyard.
Mm-hmm. I can anyway, but that's beside the point.
Well, without I've got neighbors within 50 yards of me.
What's your point? That's what shorts are for.
Okay.
Anyway,
I fired shorts in my 22 Stevens, not Savage Stevens. It's 22 Stevens. I fired shorts in there, and
yeah, I got to take my Stevens favorite out and to the range and put some shorts down, see how it does.
I can hear the firing pin hit the case, and you actually hear the bullet projectile hit the paper.
Yeah,
you don't hear much of it.
Supersonic. You don't have that crack.
Mm-hmm.
So, or as GGW Reloading said, CB caps, which are Aguila makes them too. I've got some of those. Basically, it's a 15 grain bullet and primer charge, and those are nice and quiet too, even out of my Ruger single 6. Because I was, for the longest time, I was afraid to fire them out of my rifle because I didn't want to squib.
You can't put your squib out. You don't know how. Come on,
Yeah,
Mike.
I just didn't want to deal with it. So, but the first time I cranked one down the rifle, it goes right down that barrel real nice, and still embeds itself in wood. So, and those are really quiet because all you hear is a.
Bring it on, Chris Sharp. We'll love to hear it. He's talking to Sharenda. He said, quote, "If I do that when Mike airs it, it'll just be one long beep from censorship."
Oh, heck no.
After encouragement from Pink Shirt Sharenda, quote, "Use plenty of curse words at Chris Sharp."
Heck no, I'm not going to make it one long beep. I'll make sure that there's breaks. Maybe enough of a little bit so everybody can figure out what Chris was saying.
Do they actually have phone lines in Wyoming, Mike?
I think so. Like 2.
Okay, he might have to find that one with a tin can and a cotton string.
Yeah, he's going to have to go to Cheyenne for that, so. Oh, yeah. Paul Loud said another R2D2 message. Yep. The dirtiest speaking character in movie history. They had to bleep every single thing he said. So, Dan Kiley said he found some CCI 550s today. He wants to know, should he stay around the minimum charge for 9mm, or is the difference between the 500's cup thickness? If the cups are thicker, can I use them in a 223?
That'd be CCI 550. That's Magnum primer.
Yeah, Magnum pistols.
Yeah. Be careful. That's the first best answer we can give you, Dan.
I guess, Dan, what I would do, Dan, is primer only. Seat the primer in the brass, in the 223 brass. Hand feed it in. Pull the trigger. With it being pointed in a safe direction, make sure there's no barrel obstructions, yada, yada, yada. Pull the brass, inspect it. If you want, you can take a picture and send it to us, and we'll take a look at it too. But that's the only way you're going to know, is if that is strong enough. If you're really concerned, what you can do is make 2 primer onlys. When you pull the trigger on the first one, hurry up and rack the bolt to feed the second one and see if it slam fires. Because that's going to be the other thing you have to worry about with an AR is a floating pin and it possibly slam firing if those cups aren't that thick. So as far as your minimum charge, yes, if you go from a regular pistol primer to a Magnum pistol primer, start back at the beginning and work it up again. Since we're talking about pressure, that's, if you're towards that max, that could be enough of a difference. So
we started something.
Hey, Elk Blood, are you going to send that via carrier pigeon then? So. Okay, so Lead Bullet Junkie says they will work fine in your 9mm. You don't need to back off your charge any because Magnum primers don't make rounds hotter. They just have a more complete burn. I wouldn't use them in an AR for 223. So, yeah, I mean, I've never tried it, so I can't speak from it. I believe Lead Bullet Junkie has from previous conversations he's had with Travis. So, but like I said, your mileage may vary. So I'm just recommending what I would say. But Paul Loud said can't message Jim Fleming after dark because he can't read the smoke signals then. Perhaps carrier pigeon. Just remember, you can always use stone tablets. He's used to that. Yes, I'm number 1. Woohoo! So.
All right.
Well, anybody else have any other questions about pressure signs or anything to add to the conversation? You there in the chat, anything you thought we were off our rocker on? So, as you're listening to this, if you think we're off our rocker, send us an email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Or once again, a text at 608-467-0308.
Or better yet, call us and tell us if you think we're full of beans and smoke.
Yep. You can also get a hold of us on Facebook or MeWe. We also have a Discord channel if you want that link. Send me an email at reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, and I am more than happy to send you the Discord link. So we've got a lot of different little channels over at Discord. So there's one that's specifically just for bull crapping. So you can pop in, give a schmack, whatever the case may be. Literally, we have a channel on Discord that is for absolutely nothing.
We talk about spaghetti sauce if we want to.
We've talked about all sorts of stuff in that chat.
Yep.
We've also got a little, for those of you who are doing 3D printing reloading stuff, we've got a channel on there that we could use some more traction on. So we've got buy and sell stuff on there too in Discord. So, check it out. So, all right, Jim.
What's that?
I think that's about it for tonight.
Yep. Sign us off, Mikey. Oh, did you mention Patreons and the farms? Never mind. You will. What about the primary arms?
Yep, we did primary arms. So
twice too, as I recall.
Yep, and just a reminder. Thank you for not a reminder, but a reminder. Swing over to Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co. You can find lots of cool stuff like this, or even better. Also want to thank all of our Patreons who sent us their hard-earned money to help us make this happen. Jim?
Sharenda has got her deer mount's going to be home Friday. The PSA comes after the taglines, Paul.
All right, gang. I don't know whose I want to do or not. So Sharenda was here for a bit, so we'll do hers. Teach a lady to reload. She just might like it. We'll do Paul's. Grandpa always told me that violence does solve things. It's true.
Jason always says be an asset, not a liability. And Travis always comes up with something different each week.
Yep. Nick and Ray, hop on the short bus. So.
And Mikey, you got yours.
Keep that brass shiny.
And mine. Gun control is not about our guns. Gun control is about us controlling us.
Mm-hmm.
Support the Second Amendment. Join a Pro 2A organization of some kind. Over to you, Mike.
All right, gang. If you're thinking that it's too much, and you're thinking that life sucks and you need to escape it somehow, call 1-800-273-8255. They have trained counselors that can help you. I'm willing to talk to people too. Send me an email or send me a message on Facebook Messenger, and I'm more than willing to talk. Everybody has their own demons to deal with. Everybody has their own problems to deal with. To be perfectly honest, got all sorts of issues I'm dealing with all the time. I've got the podcast, which is awesome, but I'm working 2 jobs because my checking account currently is at -30. And I have a bunch of bills yet to pay, but it's not that bad. It'll get better. You know, everybody has their own like personal demons. You know, you get to those low points, and they'll come. But you also have to consider that the high points will come again too. But like I said, 1-800-273-8255. Keep that number handy in case you need it. Because we want to keep you all around. So, thanks, folks. Have a good night. And like Sharonda said, amen. Everybody's struggle is different. You know, you may struggle with one thing that somebody else thinks is easy. And I may struggle with something that people go, oh, that's not a struggle. So that type of thing. So, all right, gang. As I scratch my forehead for all of you. And a final sign off to Jim.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.